In the next 60 seconds, you'll make approximately 3 to 4 subconscious decisions about money without even realizing it. Like Sarah, who instinctively avoided investing $100 and later missed a 300% return. These automatic financial decisions come from neural pathways formed primarily between ages 0 to 7, when your brain was operating in a constant state of hypnosis. The good news? Recent studies on neuroplasticity prove these pathways can be rewired at any age. I've witnessed remarkable transformations using a technique that targets these hidden money blocks, people who've gone from constant financial struggle to steady growth. Stay tuned as I reveal this approach. The money belief blind spot. Ever notice how you keep making the same money mistakes over and over? Like that subscription you swore you'd cancel? Or how you promised yourself you'd start saving, but then your favorite dropped a new collection and oops, there goes your budget. Again. Don't beat yourself up too much. That's bad luck or lack of willpower. It's literally your brain on autopilot. Your brain has this secret money control center that's running the show without your permission. It's like someone briefly taking control while you're distracted. By the time you realize what's happening, the damage is already done. Your brain is making financial decisions before you're even aware they're happening. This isn't some small glitch in your thinking. It's an entire shadow financial system operating behind your conscious mind. Most people have absolutely no idea these invisible thought patterns exist. They wake up each day, go to work, pay their bills, and wonder why they're still in the exact same financial situation year after year. I should be further ahead by now, they think. But they keep hitting the same money ceiling because their financial decisions aren't actually being made by the conscious, rational part of their brain. It's like trying to drive a car while someone else controls the steering wheel. These hidden neural pathways are your financial autopilot. They steer you toward familiar money behaviors, even when they hurt you. Take my colleague James, who kept buying expensive electronics despite his mounting debt. He understood he needed to stop, but each time a new gadget launched, he'd find himself clicking "Buy Now" before he could even process why. Knowledge alone doesn't change these deeply embedded neural pathways. You might intellectually know you should save more, invest wisely, or stop impulse shopping, but those automatic brain circuits override your intentions. The science behind this is actually mind-blowing. Brain scans show these money beliefs lighting up specific regions in your brain before you consciously think about finances. When people are shown images related to financial decisions, activity spikes in the amygdala, your brain's emotion center, and other habit-related regions, milliseconds before the rational prefrontal cortex gets involved. Your subconscious brain makes the decision while your conscious mind is still loading the question. This happens constantly. The average person has between 35 to 40 automatic money reactions every single day. These range from small purchase decisions to bigger saving or spending patterns. Each reaction seems tiny in isolation, but together they create your entire financial trajectory. It's like how a 1-degree shift in a rocket's launch angle can send it to a completely different planet. What's remarkable is how lightning fast these reactions happen. We're talking milliseconds, way faster than your conscious mind can intervene. By the time you decide whether to buy something, your brain has already processed dozens of subconscious signals and essentially made the choice for you. Your conscious mind creates logical-sounding reasons to justify what your autopilot brain already decided. "I deserve this purchase because I had a hard day," or "I'll start saving next month," are classic examples of this justification process. All those financial apps and budgeting spreadsheets, they're essentially useless against this invisible system. That's why so many people download budgeting apps, use them briefly, and then abandon them. The apps communicate with your conscious brain, but your financial decisions come from a completely different neural system operating beneath the surface. So why do you keep sabotaging your financial success despite knowing better? Because your subconscious brain is running a money program you didn't choose. It's like trying to run modern software on a computer still programmed with outdated code. No matter what new features you add, that underlying code keeps everything running according to the old system. Scientists can literally see these money beliefs activate on brain scans before financial decisions are made. In studies where participants make investment choices while in an fMRI machine, researchers can predict their decision by watching which neural networks activate, often several seconds before the person decides. This explains why that friend who makes half your salary somehow manages to save more than you do, or why your coworker with the same income has already bought a house while you're still struggling with credit card debt. It's not about willpower or intelligence. It's about different subconscious programming. Most financial advice completely ignores this reality. Traditional money advice assumes you're making rational, conscious decisions. But that's like giving someone directions while ignoring that their GPS is programmed for somewhere completely different. This money autopilot doesn't just influence obvious financial decisions. It affects everything from how you negotiate your salary to whether you even open that retirement account statement. Ever notice how some people seem physically uncomfortable talking about money? That's their subconscious money programming triggering a stress response before they've even had a chance to think about it consciously. What makes this trickier is that these automatic money reactions feel completely normal to you. They don't come with warning labels. They just feel like the way things are or how I am with money. They feel like facts rather than programming, which makes them nearly invisible unless you know exactly what to look for. Your brain's money wiring. What if I told you those money beliefs that feel like just the way you are aren't simply thoughts floating around in your head? They're actual physical structures inside your brain? I'm not kidding. While your conscious mind is busy justifying another impulse purchase, there's a whole biological network making that decision for you before you even realize it. But here's the million-dollar question. If your brain formed these money pathways without your permission, could you deliberately rewire them to create wealth instead? Your financial habits are literal neural highways in your brain, complete with dedicated pathways. These aren't abstract concepts psychologists invented to explain behavior. We're talking about actual physical connections between neurons that fire together when you think about spending, saving, investing, or worrying about your bank balance. These financial neural networks function like the pathways that help you remember how to ride a bike or brush your teeth. Instead of controlling physical movements, they manage your money reactions. Your financial responses become more automatic with repetition, even when they're harmful to your financial future. Scientists can observe these money pathways in action. Using fMRI technology, researchers watch different brain regions activate during financial decisions. They see the nucleus accumbens, your brain's reward center, activating when you're about to make an impulse purchase. They observe your insula region firing when you're concerned about financial risk. These visible patterns appear differently in people with healthy versus unhealthy money habits. The difference between someone who automatically saves 20% of their paycheck and someone who spends it all before the next payday comes down to which neural pathways are strongest. Each time you repeat a money behavior, whether checking your investments or stress shopping, you physically strengthen those neural connections, making them more automatic next time. It's essentially financial muscle memory. Like a tennis player doesn't consciously analyze their backhand after years of practice, you don't consciously process money reactions after repeating them hundreds of times. Your brain follows the strongest available neural pathway, the one reinforced through repetition, whether it leads to wealth or financial struggle. I experienced this myself when I realized my habit of making large purchases whenever I felt professionally insecure wasn't a conscious choice. It was an automatic response wired into my brain from watching my father do the same thing growing up. Most core financial wiring develops when you're a child, between ages 0 to 7. During those years, your brain operates in a hypnotic state, absorbing everything without critical filtering. You internalized your parents' money stress, their comments about wealthy people, their spending and saving habits, all wiring directly into your developing neural networks. This explains why traditional financial advice often fails. When advisors tell you to budget better or start investing, They're addressing your conscious, rational brain, your prefrontal cortex. But financial choices primarily stem from these embedded neural pathways connecting memory centers to emotional centers formed during childhood. It's like redirecting a river that's flowed the same way for decades. Your logical brain might understand you should save more, but those established neural pathways, strengthened by years of repetitive behaviors, typically override your intentions unless you specifically work to change them. Have you ever promised yourself not to spend on something unnecessary, then found yourself completing the purchase almost automatically? That's not willpower failure. It's your established neural pathways doing exactly what they've been trained to do. Your brain has physically wired itself to seek the dopamine release from spending. The encouraging news? These pathways aren't permanent. Your brain possesses neuroplasticity, the ability to form new neural connections throughout life. Even if your financial wiring has led you down problematic money paths for decades, you can create new pathways toward better outcomes. You can't change what you don't recognize. Most people don't realize these neural money networks dictate their financial lives. They attribute money struggles to circumstances, bad luck, or the system, never recognizing they're fighting their own brain wiring. Understanding these pathways exists is the crucial first step to changing them. For many, wealth-blocking circuits connect memory centers to emotional centers formed during childhood. Perhaps you have strong neural connections between money and anxiety from witnessing parental conflicts about bills. Or maybe your brain wired together spending and love because gifts represented affection. These emotional memory circuits activate automatically in money situations resembling childhood experiences. Another common wealth blocker is the pathway connecting immediate rewards to financial decisions. If your brain prioritizes the instant dopamine hit of spending over delayed gratification, that pathway strengthens each time you choose immediate pleasure over long-term security. These neural pathways shape your entire financial reality, from how much you believe you can earn, to your comfort with investing, to how you respond to opportunities. Your brain's money wiring essentially creates your wealth ceiling by determining which financial behaviors feel normal to you. Fight, flight, or financial freeze. Those financial neural networks we just talked about, they're only part of the story. When money stress hits hard, your brain doesn't just follow old pathways. It completely switches operating systems. Your sophisticated human brain literally gets hijacked by primitive survival circuitry that can't tell the difference between an empty wallet and a life-threatening emergency. And that's where the real financial damage happens. Your brain's threat detection system, mainly your amygdala, processes a scary bank balance the same way it processes physical danger. When you check your account and see you're broke 3 days before payday, your brain launches a biochemical cascade as if you were under attack. Your body interprets financial danger as actual danger. To your nervous system, threat is threat. When you're already stressed about money, you make worse financial decisions because of actual biology. Financial stress floods your body with cortisol, the stress hormone designed for emergencies. This hormonal response physically impairs access to your prefrontal cortex, your brain's financial advisor. Your rational thinking center gets compromised right when you need it most. This happens at the exact moment when clear thinking would benefit you most. Making smart money choices becomes nearly impossible while your body chemistry signals danger. Your cognitive bandwidth diminishes significantly, with research showing financial stress can temporarily drop your functional IQ by up to 13 points, shifting you from average intelligence to impaired decision-making. This financial fight-or-flight response triggers one of 3 reactions you'll probably recognize. Some people enter fight mode, making impulsive purchases to assert control, like splurging on something unnecessary right after stressing about bills. Others slip into flight mode, avoiding their financial situation by not checking balances or ignoring bills. Then there's freeze mode, becoming financially paralyzed, knowing action is needed but feeling unable to decide. During these moments, brain activity changes dramatically. When under financial stress, your amygdala activity increases while your prefrontal cortex function decreases. Your emotional brain effectively overrides your rational brain. threat detection circuits activate intensely, while planning, analysis, and self-control regions become subdued. This creates a difficult cycle. Financial pressure triggers stress responses, impairing decision-making, leading to poor financial choices, creating more pressure. Your brain chemistry impacts your financial future, not maliciously, but in a misguided attempt to protect you from perceived immediate danger. The resulting scarcity mindset particularly harms financial health. When your brain perceives money as scarce, it focuses only on immediate threats and misses long-term opportunities. Your thinking becomes tunneled and short-term, explaining why financial hardship often leads to decisions that worsen long-term situations. Your brain operates in emergency mode where only immediate concerns matter. Consider a typical scenario. Your car unexpectedly breaks down, requiring a $600 repair when you have only $800 in your account, rent due next week. Immediately, your heart races, breathing becomes shallow, and thoughts race. I can't afford this. What about rent? Should I use my credit card? Maybe I should ignore this problem? Your ability to think clearly diminishes as stress hormones surge. Even simple math becomes challenging, and considering long-term implications feels impossible. What makes this response challenging is its automatic nature below conscious awareness. You don't choose to enter fight or flight mode. Your brain decides without consulting you. Once stress hormones flow, your perception changes. Financial options obvious when calm become invisible when stressed. This explains why traditional financial advice often fails. Telling someone in financial stress to just budget better ignores the neurological reality. When your brain operates in survival mode, it physically cannot access the cognitive tools needed for complex financial planning. The part of your brain that understands concepts like compound interest temporarily goes offline. The solution starts with recognizing when you're in this state. Your body signals fight or flight mode through physical symptoms: racing heart, shallow breathing, muscle tension, which appear during financial stress too. Identifying these signals is the first step to breaking the cycle. Once you recognize financial fight or flight, focus on calming your nervous system before making decisions. Taking 10 deep breaths can begin lowering cortisol levels and restoring prefrontal cortex function. Even a short walk or brief meditation can shift your brain chemistry enough to enable better decisions. Creating a financial stress first aid kit helps. Specific steps to follow when stressed. This might include breathing exercises, a trusted person to call, or a reminder note. Don't make financial decisions now, wait until tomorrow. The goal is interrupting the automatic stress response long enough for rational thinking to return. With practice, you can retrain this response. Your brain's reaction to financial triggers isn't fixed, it's learned and can be unlearned. Through consistent effort, you can teach your brain that financial challenges aren't life-threatening, reducing the fight or flight intensity over time. This neural reprogramming is possible because your early money patterns, while powerful, aren't permanent, and understanding their origins is our next step. Your money origin story. Speaking of unlearning financial patterns, did you know your brain was literally in a hypnotic state during the first 7 years of your life? While you were busy learning to tie your shoes and watching Saturday morning cartoons, your developing brain was secretly recording and installing every single money message it encountered. Those casual comments from adults about being broke or money being hard to come, they're still running your financial operating system today. During those formative years from birth to age 7, your brain operated in theta and alpha brainwave cycles, the same patterns hypnotherapists work to induce in adult clients. Your childhood brain was essentially running in download mode, absorbing everything without any critical filtering system. Like a computer receiving a software installation, your mind accepted financial programming without your awareness or consent. You never consciously chose to believe money is the root of all evil, or rich people are greedy. These beliefs were installed into your brain while you were completely unaware. Someone set up your entire financial operating system before you could understand what was happening. Your developing brain recorded everything your parents did around money. Arguing about bills, tensing up at checkout counters, sighing with relief when payday arrived. Beyond their words, You absorbed the emotional energy surrounding these moments. Whether money felt scarce, stressful, and shameful, or abundant, manageable, and neutral in your household, that atmosphere got wired directly into your nervous system. Most troubling? You likely don't remember these formative money moments. They happened so early they exist below conscious memory, yet they influence nearly every financial decision you make today. Your financial blueprint was shaped by emotional reactions. When your mom snapped at you for asking for a toy, or your dad stressed about affording Christmas presents. Casual comments, when your teacher mentioned people like us not being able to afford certain things. Media messages, from Scrooge McDuck to families on sitcoms stressing about bills. Repeated patterns, creating neural pathways that strengthened over time. This early programming was particularly powerful because it occurred when your brain was forming its fundamental understanding of how the world works. Between ages 0 to 7, you absorbed information without questioning it. You couldn't analyze whether Dad's belief that we'll never be rich was true or just his personal experience. You accepted these messages as absolute truth. The result is your financial blueprint, an unconscious framework dictating how you interact with money today. This blueprint determines your comfort with wealth, spending habits, investing behaviors, and even how much money you believe you deserve. Consider specific examples. If you constantly heard, "Money doesn't grow on trees," your developing brain received messages like, "Money is scarce," and "wanting things is bad." In adulthood, this manifests as guilt when buying something nice for yourself, even when affordable. If bills triggered panic in your parents, your young brain registered money equals danger, or money equals stress. Today, you might procrastinate checking your bank account because your brain is trying to protect you from that same sense of danger. Your blueprint affects more than obvious money behaviors. It impacts salary negotiations, investment comfort, financial conversations with partners, and which opportunities you notice versus those you overlook. The psychological difference between financially successful people and others often comes down to one core belief: whether they believe financial success is possible for them personally. This fundamental belief, installed during those early years, determines whether someone attempts actions leading to financial success. When your blueprint says, "People like me don't get rich," you unconsciously avoid behaviors that create wealth. Look at financially struggling people in your life. Notice how many are trapped in cycles of under-earning, overspending, or financial avoidance. They often believe wealth isn't possible for them, not realizing this very belief is their primary obstacle. The revolutionary good news: these early formed beliefs are not your authentic financial identity. They're downloaded programs, hand-me-down beliefs from people who likely had limited financial education themselves. These aren't your original thoughts about money. They're programming you received before having any choice. Even better, your brain's neuroplasticity means these patterns can change. If the brain can rewire itself after physical trauma like strokes, it can certainly rewire around money mindset issues. Research shows our brains form new connections throughout our lives. Your financial blueprint isn't permanent. It's a garden that can be replanted. The limiting beliefs holding back your financial potential aren't fixtures in your brain. They're well-worn neural pathways that can weaken through disuse while you strengthen new, empowering pathways. Your financial future isn't determined by your past. It's the brain on financial stress. Ever notice how impossible it feels to make smart money moves when you're freaking out about bills? That's not just you being dramatic. Your brain literally starts malfunctioning under financial pressure. Those neural pathways you've been working so hard to build, they basically short-circuit when money stress hits, turning your financial decision-making abilities into complete mush. When financial stress kicks in, your brain undergoes measurable changes that scientists can track. Financial stress robs you of cognitive abilities, making it nearly impossible to think clearly about money. Your brain feels foggy under financial stress, similar to pulling an all-nighter. Research shows financial stress significantly reduces cognitive bandwidth. Your brain's processing power gets downgraded precisely when you need it most. This cognitive impact hits hard because financial problems require complex thinking to solve. When your account is running low, you need sharpness to figure out budgeting, prioritize expenses, and find ways to increase income. But that's exactly when your brain falters. The science is fascinating. Financial stress severely impacts your brain's executive functions, the mental processes handling planning, self-control, focus, and problem-solving. Under financial pressure, your mental CEO calls in sick, leaving the intern running the company. In practical terms, this means you're less able to plan your budget, resist impulse purchases, focus on financial goals, or develop creative financial solutions. It's like trying to solve a complex math problem while someone blasts an air horn in your ear. Take Sarah, for example. After receiving an unexpected $800 car repair bill, she panicked and put it on her high-interest credit card instead of calling family, who could have helped. Her stress-affected brain couldn't evaluate options clearly, leading to months of avoidable interest payments. Financial stress creates what researchers call a scarcity mindset. Your brain hyper-focuses on immediate financial threats, upcoming rent, credit card bills, or affording groceries. While this focus might seem helpful, it causes you to miss long-term opportunities that could improve your situation. You're essentially walking through life wearing horse blinders. You might avoid immediate obstacles, but miss the better path just a few feet away. That's what happens with your financial vision when stress takes over. This creates a vicious cycle. Financial stress impairs cognitive abilities, leading to poorer decisions, creating more stress, further impairing thinking. It's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. You're making the problem worse without realizing it. This explains why people in financial hardship make decisions that confuse others. Taking high-interest payday loans, ignoring past due notices, or spending on non-essentials while behind on rent aren't just bad choices. They're the result of a brain functioning differently under pressure. Brain scans reveal these changes. During financial stress, activity in the prefrontal cortex, rational planning area, visibly decreases, while activity in the amygdala, emotional fear center, increases. Your brain literally rewires under financial stress, prioritizing emotional responses over logical thinking. This shift explains why obvious financial advice, just budget better, feels impossible when you're experiencing money stress. Your brain physically can't execute these solutions in survival mode. Think about your last money stress episode. Remember the tightness in your chest, racing thoughts, that sick feeling? These physical sensations connected directly to brain changes. Stress hormones like cortisol triggered your survival response while shutting down higher reasoning. Understanding this means approaching financial problems differently. Traditional advice assumes you're making decisions with your rational brain fully functioning. But when financial stress has temporarily knocked your prefrontal cortex offline, budgeting spreadsheets won't help. The first step must be getting your brain back to a state where rational thinking is possible. Deal with the immediate stress response before tackling the underlying financial issue. Simple techniques like deep breathing, brief meditation, or stepping away from the financial trigger can help bring your prefrontal cortex back online. Timing is crucial. Never make major financial decisions during acute financial stress. Your brain simply can't evaluate options clearly then. It would be like making life-changing decisions while intoxicated. When financial decisions can't wait, use pre-established guidelines or seek input from someone not experiencing the same stress. Think of it as having a financial designated driver, someone who thinks clearly when you can't. Understanding how financial stress impacts your brain isn't just interesting, it's practical knowledge that can transform your relationship with money. Recognize the warning signs of stress mode and take steps to counteract it before making important financial decisions. Childhood money ghosts. What if I told you the weird money behaviors you can't explain aren't actually about today's finances at all? They're ghostly echoes of your childhood experiences. Neural pathways formed when you were 7 that still light up every time you pull out your credit card. And here's the kicker. Your logical adult brain has absolutely no idea these money ghosts are even there. Picture this. It's Friday evening. 7-year-old you sits at the bottom of the stairs, listening to your parents arguing about credit card bills in hushed, tense voices. Your stomach tightens. That feeling, that exact physical sensation of anxiety, becomes hardwired into your neural pathways about money. Fast forward 20 years, and you still feel that same stomach clench when checking your perfectly healthy bank account. Your hippocampus, that seahorse-shaped memory center nestled deep in your brain, has been quietly storing emotional memories about money since you were in light-up sneakers. These memories aren't filed away like boring tax documents. They're active, emotional triggers waiting for something in your current financial life to wake them up. When they do, your brain goes into full emotional flashback mode without bothering to tell you why. Think of these money memories like outdated software running on your modern brain hardware. You've upgraded your life, your income, and your financial knowledge, but underneath it all, that old childhood programming keeps executing its familiar code. The software says money equals danger, even when your current operating system has robust financial security measures in place. These money ghosts manifest in specific behaviors. Maybe you splurge on something expensive right after a stressful work week, or perhaps you feel reluctance to negotiate a higher salary even when you deserve it. You might avoid financial planning altogether because it triggers an inexplicable feeling of dread. Your rational mind is confused by these behaviors, but your emotional brain is following the neural script written long ago. Your brain doesn't distinguish between past and present threats when processing these money memories. The fear you felt when your parents argued about finances feels just as real today when you're making investment decisions. Your logical brain might say, "I can afford this," while your emotional brain screams, "Danger," even though that danger existed decades ago. This explains why logical financial advice often doesn't stick. You intellectually understand you should save more or invest differently, but if those suggestions conflict with your emotional money memories, your hippocampus and its emotional allies override your prefrontal cortex's logical plans every time. Research on the neuroscience of money mindset shows beliefs installed during childhood significantly impact your ability to generate wealth as an adult. The messages you absorbed, money doesn't grow on trees, rich people are greedy, we can't afford that, were programming instructions for your developing neural networks. What makes this trickier is that your subconscious mind, making up about 90% of your brain function, runs the financial show behind the scenes. Your conscious mind believes it's making decisions, but the real decisions were pre-made by subconscious patterns established decades ago. The neuroscience of money mindset highlights a crucial point: the fundamental psychological difference between financially successful people and those who struggle isn't intelligence. It's the belief that financial success is possible for them. Those who believe in their potential for success engage in the necessary money mindset work. Many remain stuck in negative financial cycles because, at a deep neural level, they don't see financial success as available to them. These early installed beliefs create a financial self-fulfilling prophecy. If your conditioning taught you money is scarce, your brain will filter your perception of financial opportunities to confirm that belief. You'll miss seeing possibilities that don't fit your pre-existing neural patterns about money. Two people can look at the same financial situation and see entirely different landscapes. One sees risk because their money ghosts whisper warnings from the past. Another sees opportunity because their neural pathways were wired differently. Same external reality, completely different internal experience. Breaking free requires identifying the specific emotional triggers connected to your money memories. Was it your parents' tone when discussing finances? The expression on their faces when bills arrived? The feeling in your stomach when you couldn't have something your friends had? These sensory and emotional details matter because they activate your money ghosts. When something in your current financial life matches one of these patterns, your brain jumps back into that childhood emotional state. It's like having a financial response completely out of proportion to what's actually happening now. Once you identify these triggers, you can begin disconnecting them from your current financial decisions. You can't erase those childhood memories, but you can create new neural pathways that give you different options when old triggers get activated. This explains why one-size-fits-all financial advice so often fails. The advice might be sound, But if it doesn't address the specific emotional memory patterns driving your money behaviors, it's like trying to fix a computer virus with a new screensaver. The millionaire visualization method. So if all those childhood money patterns seem impossible to escape, here's something that might blow your mind. There's actually a way to hack your brain's natural rewiring ability to create totally new financial pathways. And it doesn't require expensive therapy or weird gadgets, just your imagination. When you vividly picture yourself making smart money moves, your brain doesn't know you're just daydreaming. It's literally building the neural architecture for wealth behind the scenes. The wildest part? Your brain treats these imagined successes almost identically to real ones. This technique, visualization, is backed by serious science. It's the same mental technique that Olympic gold medalists and self-made billionaires swear by. In fact, 97% of elite athletes use this exact same brain hack as many of the world's wealthiest people. Their secret weapon is using their imagination in a very specific way. But if visualization is so powerful, why isn't everyone rich? Because most people are doing it completely wrong. They're vaguely daydreaming about having money, not creating the precise neural pathways that actually lead to wealth. Here's what's happening in your brain when you visualize correctly. When you create super detailed mental images of financial success, your brain forms neural pathways as if you were actually experiencing that success in real life. Your brain can't tell the difference between what's vividly imagined and what's actually happening. Consider this mind-blowing example from research. In a 1996 study, researchers divided people into 3 groups for a basketball free throw experiment. The first group did absolutely nothing. The second group practiced shooting free throws regularly. The third group just visualized themselves successfully making free throws, never physically touching a basketball during the entire study. The results were shocking. The group that physically practiced improved their free throw success rate by 24%. But the group that only visualized still improved by 23%. Their brains couldn't distinguish between imagined practice and real practice. This same principle applies to your financial brain. When you vividly imagine taking specific wealth-building actions, your brain is literally rehearsing these behaviors, creating neural pathways for financial success before you even take action in the real world. But the key word is vividly. Most people's visualizations are too vague to create real neural change. For visualization to actually rewire your brain, you need to engage all 5 senses. The more sensory details you include, the stronger those new neural connections become. Instead of vaguely imagining having more money, visualize the specific behaviors that create wealth. Picture yourself sitting at your computer reviewing investment options. Feel the smooth plastic of the keyboard under your fingertips. Hear the subtle click as you transfer money into your retirement account. See the confirmation screen with your growing balance, and experience the warm satisfaction flowing through your body afterward. According to research published in the Journal of Financial Therapy, people who used detailed visualization as part of their financial planning were significantly more likely to reach their money goals compared to those who didn't use these techniques. Another common mistake is only visualizing the end result, instead of the specific behaviors and decisions that create wealth. Your brain needs to rehearse the actual process of building wealth, not just the outcome. Olympic athletes don't just visualize standing on the podium, they visualize every single step of their performance, creating a mental blueprint their body follows during competition. You can use this technique to prepare for financial challenges. By mentally rehearsing potential obstacles and solutions, you're more likely to handle them successfully when they occur. Visualize yourself feeling the urge for an impulse purchase, then pausing, taking a deep breath, and walking away. This mental rehearsal builds neural pathways that make resistance easier in real life. Visualization leverages your brain's neuroplasticity, its ability to form new connections based on experience. Every time you practice detailed financial visualization, you're physically restructuring your brain's financial circuitry. You don't need hours for this to work. Research suggests just 5 minutes of proper visualization daily can begin restructuring your brain's financial pathways. Consistency matters more than duration. 5 minutes daily creates stronger neural pathways than an hour once a week. One critical component most people miss: emotion. Your brain encodes experiences more strongly when they have emotional significance. When visualizing financial success, really feel the pride, security, freedom, and satisfaction that come with making smart money moves. This multisensory, emotionally engaged visualization creates what neuroscientists call self-directed neuroplasticity, intentionally shaping your brain's structure to support your financial goals. So if you've been struggling to change your financial habits despite knowing what you should do, visualization might be your missing piece. Your childhood money patterns are just old neural pathways formed without your conscious input. Visualization gives you a tool to deliberately create new pathways that align with your current financial goals. Your money archetype revealed. Those childhood money patterns aren't just random habits, they've literally shaped you into a specific money personality that's as unique as your fingerprint. Ever wonder why your friend effortlessly saves half their paycheck while you struggle not to spend yours, even though you make the same salary? Turns out, your brains are literally wired differently when it comes to cash. Your financial behavior is controlled by what researchers call a money archetype, a distinct pattern of neural connections in your brain that determines how you think, feel, and act around money. It functions as your financial operating system running in the background of every money decision. Until you identify which one you have, you're trying to fix your finances with half the instruction manual missing. These money archetypes are actual physical patterns in your brain that researchers can identify. These patterns create completely different reactions to identical financial situations. You and your friend could look at the same investment opportunity, but your brains would light up in different regions, leading to entirely different decisions. Let's examine these archetypes because recognizing yours creates that transformative, OMG, that's so me moment. The avoider. Your brain experiences financial tasks as physical pain. Checking account balances or organizing bills activates the same brain regions as stubbing your toe. Example: Sarah constantly forgets to open mail containing bills, letting them pile up for weeks despite having reminder apps and sticky notes everywhere. It's not laziness, it's genuine pain avoidance as your brain protects you from what it perceives as a threat. The spender. Features hypersensitive reward pathways that flood with dopamine when making purchases. Your brain responds more intensely to buying things than to saving money. Example: Marcus feels a rush of excitement shopping online, often buying items he doesn't need, then experiences disappointment when the packages arrive. Willpower alone fails because your brain is wired to find more pleasure in immediate purchases than future security. The hoarder, the opposite of the spender. Threat detection regions show heightened activity even when financially secure. Creates anxiety around spending money even when you have plenty. Example: despite having 6 figures in savings, Kim agonizes for weeks over buying a $200 appliance she genuinely needs. Your brain creates strong connections between spending and threat, essentially saying, danger, don't spend that money, you might need it someday. The status seeker. Forms unique connections between financial decisions and social approval centers in your brain. Purchases relate directly to what others will think of you for having them. Example: despite being behind on rent, Jordan buys expensive designer items to maintain appearances among colleagues. Brain scans show social cognition regions activate simultaneously with decision-making areas during purchases. Identifying your archetype isn't about labeling yourself. It's about understanding the neurological patterns driving your behavior. This awareness can be profoundly liberating, transforming guilt, I'm bad with money, into understanding, my brain processes financial decisions this way. These archetypes develop through both internal wiring and external factors like culture, family, attitudes, and environmental cues. Social neuroscience shows our interactions significantly impact how our brains make financial decisions. Someone raised in a frugality-valuing family develops different neural pathways than someone from a family emphasizing luxury purchases as success markers. Our brains have cognitive limits with financial decisions. When faced with difficult, unclear, or low-reward choices, our brains often default to inaction, choosing the path of least resistance. This explains why many people remain in unsatisfying financial situations. Their brains enter cognitive overload when attempting complex financial changes. A key influence on these archetypes is whether you operate from scarcity or abundance mindset. Scarcity thinking triggers chronic anxiety and activates survival mode, leading to poor financial decisions, as your brain prioritizes immediate needs over long-term planning. You can identify scarcity thinking through behaviors like financial hoarding, compulsive spending, or complete risk avoidance. Interestingly, this mindset can exist independently from your actual financial situation. You can have substantial savings yet still operate from financial fear. To identify your money archetype, observe your automatic emotional and behavioral responses to financial situations. Pay attention to your instinctive reactions when bills arrive, when shopping opportunities present themselves, when checking accounts, or when making financial decisions that others will notice. Understanding your archetype provides powerful self-knowledge, not to box yourself in, but to recognize patterns that might be holding you back. With this awareness, you can begin building new the 5-minute financial rewiring practice. Identifying your money archetype is just the first step, but here's where things get really interesting. Your brain has this wild superpower called neuroplasticity that scientists are only now figuring out how to hack for financial transformation. While most people keep trying new budgeting apps or investment strategies, they're completely missing the actual root cause of their money struggles. The literal wiring in their brain that can be rewired with consistent practice. Think about it. How many times have you tried to change your money habits? Maybe you downloaded that trendy budgeting app, set up automatic transfers to your savings, or swore you'd stop impulse shopping. But weeks later, you're right back to your old patterns, wondering why nothing sticks. That's because you've been trying to change your financial situation without first changing your brain, which is like trying to run new software on a computer that doesn't have the right hardware. The good news? You can actually rewire your financial brain in just 5 minutes a day. This approach is backed by serious neuroscience. The key is understanding that successful brain rewiring needs to target all 3 components of neural pathways: your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors around money. Most financial advice only focuses on behavior, the spending and saving part, while ignoring the thoughts and emotions that drive those behaviors. This 5-minute daily financial rewiring practice combines 3 powerful techniques: mindfulness to notice what's happening in your brain, pattern interruption to stop automatic reactions, and clear action plans to create new responses. Think of it like upgrading your brain's financial operating system bit by bit, every single day. Here's what this practice actually looks like. 1. Identify your specific money triggers. Those situations that send you into unhealthy financial reactions, checking your bank account, receiving a bill, or passing your favorite store. Notice the automatic thought that pops up and the physical sensation that comes with it. 2. Challenge limiting beliefs the moment they appear. When you catch yourself thinking, "I'll never have enough," or "I'm terrible with money," question that thought. Where did it come from? Is it actually true? What evidence contradicts it? 3. Visualize your new response. Instead of avoiding bank statements out of fear, imagine checking them with calm curiosity. Instead of impulse buying when stressed, see yourself taking a deep breath and walking away. You're creating a new neural template for your brain to follow. 4. Create specific if-then plans. Clear instructions that tell your brain exactly what to do in triggering situations. Example: if I feel anxious about checking my bank account, then I will take 3 deep breaths and remind myself that knowledge is power. Think of these as GPS directions for your brain. What makes this practice effective is that it creates mild emotional arousal, which neuroscience research shows is essential for stimulating neuroplasticity. Your brain needs either a sense of challenge or reward to form strong new connections. Many people enhance this basic practice with additional techniques. A financial wins journal, strategically reinforces neural pathways by documenting positive money experiences no matter how small. Even noting that you resisted an impulse purchase counts as a win worth recording. An abundance evidence list trains your brain to notice prosperity instead of scarcity. This balances your brain's natural negativity bias by recording evidence that contradicts scarcity programming. Future self-visualization creates neural connections by regularly connecting with a financially thriving future identity. The more vividly you imagine this future self, including how they think, feel, and make decisions about money, the stronger these new pathways become. A morning money priming practice starts each day with gratitude listing, visualization, and intention setting. This programs your brain's attention filter to notice opportunities instead of threats. Sarah, a former avoider or archetype, shared, "After just 3 weeks of the 5-minute practice, I finally opened all my bank statements. My heart didn't race and I actually felt empowered having the full picture of my finances. It was the first time money didn't trigger panic." Crafting personal affirmations that feel authentic is key. Generic statements like, "I am wealthy," often backfire because your brain rejects them as false. But something like, "I'm developing new money skills every day," can bypass resistance. These simple practices leverage your brain's neuroplasticity to gradually shift your automatic financial responses. People often notice changes in their emotional reactions to money situations within just 2 to 3 weeks of consistent practice. The physical structure of your neural pathways begins changing right away, though it typically takes about 66 days for new habits to become automatic. Traditional financial advice tends to focus on surface-level strategies while ignoring the underlying neural programming that drives financial behavior. But when you start working directly with your brain's wiring, those surface strategies suddenly become much easier to implement. This approach works regardless of which money archetype you identified earlier. The framework stays the same, but you'll focus on different triggers and create different action plans based on your unique wiring. Neuroplasticity, your financial superpower. Those neural patterns we've been talking about aren't just metaphorical. They're actual physical structures inside your skull that can be transformed. Scientists used to believe that once you reached adulthood, your brain was basically set in stone. But that's completely wrong. And this discovery might be the missing piece in your wealth-building puzzle. Every time you practice those money exercises from the previous section, you're physically rebuilding parts of your brain. Your financial struggles aren't a willpower problem. They're a wiring issue that can be fixed through something called neuroplasticity. Think of neuroplasticity as your brain's renovation ability. While most people focus on your brain's thinking power or memory capacity, its most incredible superpower is the ability to physically restructure itself based on what you repeatedly do and think. This is hardcore neuroscience that's changing how we understand financial transformation. For decades, scientists believed a depressing theory that once you hit adulthood, your brain was locked in, unable to create new connections or pathways. They thought you were stuck with whatever financial wiring you developed early in life. Imagine being told the money habits you formed by age 25 were permanent. A financial death sentence for anyone with debt problems or saving issues. Thankfully, that theory has been completely debunked. Research shows your brain maintains incredible plasticity throughout your entire life. I recently met a 65-year-old woman who transformed her finances after decades of struggle. After growing up in poverty and carrying limiting money beliefs her whole life, she applied neuroplasticity principles and within 2 years built a comfortable retirement fund she never thought possible. Her story mirrors countless others who've revolutionized their wealth situation in their 40s, 50s, and beyond. What's happening in your brain is a continuous process of physical adaptation. When you repeat certain financial behaviors, like checking your investment app, saving a portion of your paycheck, or resisting an impulse purchase, you're strengthening specific neural circuits through a process called synaptic plasticity. The reason this matters for your money is simple. Your current financial situation isn't permanent because your brain isn't permanent. It's constantly adapting based on what you repeatedly do. Neuroplasticity operates on a use-it-or-lose-it principle. Neural pathways that don't get used regularly weaken and fade, while pathways you activate frequently become stronger and more automatic. When you consider your spending habits, investing knowledge, or money mindset, you're looking at actual physical structures in your brain that can change through conscious, intentional practice. This physical rewiring happens through two main processes: synaptic plasticity and structural plasticity. Think of synaptic plasticity like upgrading the connections between existing computers in a network. When you practice checking your accounts without anxiety, you're strengthening specific connections that make this behavior easier each time. Structural plasticity is like adding entirely new computers to your network. Your brain actually grows new neurons and reorganizes pathways to support your financial behaviors. When you visualize financial success each morning, you're directing your brain to physically reorganize itself around this new reality. At the cellular level, this happens through protein synthesis at the connection points between neurons. As you practice better money habits, your brain creates new proteins that strengthen these connections. Biological alterations visible under a microscope. I need to be straight with you about something important. This rewiring doesn't happen overnight. Research shows it takes approximately 66 days of consistent practice to form new automatic neural pathways. That's about 2 months of daily work before your new financial habits feel natural. This timeline explains why many people fail at financial changes. They abandon their efforts before their brain has physically adapted. Understanding this journey gives you realistic expectations. Those new savings habits will feel uncomfortable for several weeks before your brain builds the architecture to support them automatically. What this means for your wealth journey is profound. Every time you practice money exercises, you're physically altering the neural pathways controlling your financial behaviors. You're rebuilding your brain's financial control center from the ground up. When you understand these changes are physical, it transforms how you approach financial improvement. Your daily money practices become brain training exercises, like going to the gym for your financial neural networks. This science also explains why visualization techniques work powerfully for wealth creation. When you vividly imagine making smart financial choices, your brain forms similar neural pathways as if you were actually experiencing these scenarios. You're installing neural hardware before achieving the financial reality. Another powerful aspect is that your brain forms stronger connections when learning happens with emotional engagement. This explains why simply reading financial advice rarely works, but having a powerful emotional experience around money can change your behavior instantly. Understanding neuroplasticity should give you incredible hope. No matter what money beliefs were programmed early in your life, your brain maintains the lifelong ability to change. Your past financial struggles don't define your future because your brain is continuously rebuilding itself based on your current choices and practices. Scarcity versus abundance. The neural battle. Your brain isn't just dealing with one approach to money. It's literally caught in a tug-of-war between two competing neural networks that see your finances through completely different lenses. Picture this. You're looking at your exact same bank account balance, but depending on which network is fired up, you'll either see opportunity and possibilities or threats and limitations. These are entirely separate operating systems in your brain that physically can't run at the same time. Have you ever wondered why two people can look at identical financial circumstances and come to completely opposite conclusions? The answer lies in these two networks, scarcity and abundance, that transform everything about your financial decision-making. When your scarcity network activates, your brain puts on anxiety-colored glasses that filter out positive financial opportunities and highlight every possible threat. Meanwhile, the abundance network works like a spotlight that illuminates possibilities your scarcity brain literally cannot perceive. This difference is a physical reality happening inside your skull right now. When operating in scarcity mode, your amygdala, that almond-shaped threat detector deep in your brain, goes into overdrive. It's essentially a hypersensitive financial alarm system that activates even when there's no real emergency. This triggers your stress response, flooding your body with cortisol and adrenaline. The problem is, your morning coffee costing 50 cents more isn't actually life-threatening, but your brain responds as if it were. This stress chemical cocktail devastates your financial thinking. When cortisol pumps through your system, your brain narrows its focus to perceived immediate threats. That credit card bill becomes a major danger. Your brain hyper-focuses on these immediate financial problems, blocking your ability to think expansively about money. Creative financial solutions and long-term wealth-building strategies become inaccessible to your cortisol-soaked brain. The scarcity network puts your brain in full survival mode, making it physically incapable of engaging in wealth creation thinking. That's why telling someone stressed about money to just save more is like telling someone drowning to just swim better. Their brain is operating in a mode that makes that advice impossible to follow. But here's where it gets fascinating. You have another completely different neural network that handles money in an opposite way. Your abundance network activates your prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning, problem-solving, and seeing the big picture. When this network runs the show, you perceive financial opportunities that were invisible in scarcity mode. It's your brain processing the same financial information through different neural circuits. In abundance mode, your brain releases healthy amounts of serotonin and dopamine, feel-good neurotransmitters that help you feel calm and motivated. These chemicals create a brain state where you can think strategically about money. You can weigh risks appropriately, consider long-term consequences, and recognize opportunities without fear paralysis. This explains why two people can see the same financial situation differently. The person in scarcity mode sees threats everywhere, potential losses and problems. Meanwhile, the person in abundance mode notices opportunities, possibilities, and potential gains. Same financial reality, completely different perception, based on which neural network is active. This isn't about positive thinking or attitude adjustment. We're talking about physical changes in your brain that determine which information you can process. Your scarcity network blocks certain types of financial thinking, while your abundance network enables it. This is neuroscience, not wishful thinking. The amazing part? You can learn to recognize which network is active and intentionally shift between them. Your brain gives clear signals about which system is running. In scarcity mode, you'll notice physical tension, shallow breathing, racing thoughts about financial threats, and tunnel vision focused on limitations. When your abundance network is active, you'll experience deeper breathing, physical relaxation, expanded awareness of possibilities, and flexible thinking about financial choices. The same problem suddenly seems manageable, even interesting to solve rather than terrifying. Learning to recognize these signals is your first step toward controlling your financial brain state. When you notice scarcity mode activating, specific techniques can help shift to your abundance network. Simple practices like deepening your breathing, changing your posture, or brief visualization can deactivate your amygdala and bring your prefrontal cortex back online. This shift can happen remarkably quickly once you understand the process. You can move from financial panic to strategic thinking in minutes, a valuable skill during stressful money situations. The financial decisions from each network lead to dramatically different outcomes. Scarcity-based choices provide immediate relief but create bigger long-term problems, like using high-interest credit, avoiding planning, or panic selling investments. These decisions trap you in a scarcity cycle. Abundance network decisions might be temporarily uncomfortable, but lead to financial growth. You can save when money feels tight, invest during downturns, or negotiate better compensation because your brain isn't locked in survival mode. Over time, these decisions compound dramatically, creating an upward financial spiral and transforming your relationship with money. Here's the cool thing about everything we've talked about today. Your brain isn't locked into its current money patterns. Right now, as you're watching this video, new neural connections are forming that could completely transform your financial future. The science is clear. Visualization, affirmations, and cognitive reframing create powerful neural pathways that physically transform your brain structure, supporting better financial choices. Your brain evolves with every money decision. each time you catch yourself in an old pattern and choose differently, you're rewiring your financial mindset. Small daily practices build massive transformation. The power is